Hi, I am Canderson, and I wanted to give you a quick review on A Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice by Dennis Kimbro and Napoleon Hill. In the original book, Hill covers a 13-step formula to obtaining riches, how to identify your goals, keys to mastering the secret of true and lasting success, how to obtain whatever you want in life, join in the ranks of the super successful. Kimbro's book is based on the principles of wealth covered in Hill's book, which results in a practical, clearly written, sensible, and a powerful guide to getting ahead. Scientific principles that lead you to success using the gifts and powers you already have, while incorporating the stories of Black achievers who discovered the real secret to wealth and success. Thoughts are covered in the first chapter of both books. In Hill's chapter, The Power of Thought, one sound ideal is all you need to achieve success. In this chapter, he covers success consciousness, how you are the master of fate and the captain of your soul, because we have the power to control our thoughts. He explains that the ether is filled with this form of universal power that adapts itself to the natural way to transmute our thoughts into their physical equivalent. In Kimbro's book, the first chapter is Inner Space, the Final Frontier. He shows how thoughts and ideals are living things. He covers the mental laws that states that what you think upon grows. Also, your thoughts are the only thing you control, and how changing your thoughts changes your life. The first step to riches is desire. In Think and Grow Rich is covered in the second chapter, the starting point of all achievement. He gives a method by which desire for riches can be transmuted into its equivalent. In the book, he covers how people with a great amount of fortune first did dreaming, hoping, wishing, desiring, and planning, then having a definite sense of purpose and a knowledge of what one wants. This is also covered in Kimbro's chapter 2. It's named The Starting Point of All Achievement. He explains it is from the basic motives of desire. The basic motives are love, financial gain, self-preservation, sex, power, fame, freedom, creativity, anger, revenge, and fear. He goes on to give us 10 steps on how to stay motivated all the time. How to choose a worthy designation. He explains Earl's Nightingale, the top 5% theory, shows us the importance of goals, why we must walk to the beat of a different drummer, and he shows us how to set goals. The second step to riches is faith. It is covered in the third chapter of Hill's book, titled Visualizing and Believing in the Attainment of Desire. He explains how faith is a state of mind that may be induced or created by affirmations or repeating instructions to the subconscious mind through the principle of auto-suggestion. Then, when you take the thought and you emotionalize it and mix it with faith, begins immediately to translate themselves into the physical equivalent or counterpart. He explains the emotion of faith, love, and sex mixed together with any thought impulses gives a greater action than any of these emotions by themselves. Faith is a state of mind that may be cultivated through autosuggestion. Hill gives us a 5-step confidence formula to bring riches in the form of thought. Faith is also covered in Kimbro's book. It's in the 4th chapter, titled The Prerequisite to the Power, but First You May Believe. He shows the magnificent power of faith is yours to control thought, your own undeniable, absolute privilege of thought. Kimbro also shows us how your aim, desires, and goals may be translated into their physical equivalent. He goes on to show that faith is a means by which you can put yourself in a frame of mind to tune into, to draw upon the power that controls the entire universe, telling us your life is what you believe. Believe in happiness and abundance. Think of these attributes. Then you will manifest wealth, supply, and opportunity. Then Kimbro gives us the 3 steps of the fundamentals of the 3rd step to riches is autosuggestion. It is in the 4th chapter, titled Autosuggestion, the Medium for Influencing the Subconscious Mind, in Napoleon Hill's original book. He gives us an example of how self-administered stimuli reaches one mind through the 5 senses. Then he tells us to read out loud your statement of desire twice a day. He goes on to give us an example of day by day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Then to mix that saying with emotions and feelings and faith in your words. He also covers what money consciousness is and then gives 3 more steps to add to the 6th in chapter 2. He states this chapter should be read once every night until you become convinced. In Kimbro's book, it is not a chapter on autosuggestion, but chapter 6, What Are You Worth? He talks about the world will take you at your own value, how our responses to events are shaped by who and what we think, that our feelings, actions, and behaviors and ability are consistent of this self-image, how you must protect your mind. He shows us ways to put autosuggestion into action by seeing yourself as you one day will become. Then that words, pictures, and images have incredible power. He gives us 9 steps to rebuild or strengthen your self-image. The 4th step to riches is specialized knowledge. It's covered in Hill's chapter 5, where he states that knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently put through practical plans of action to the definite end of accumulation of money. And that knowledge, it's only potential power. It becomes power only when it is organized into a definite plan of action and directed to a definite end. but it does cover it in chapter 8 on self-reliance, where he opens the chapter by saying, your best opportunity always lies within you to be the president of your own company and move your own life forward. There then is a section on specialized knowledge in self-reliance called selecting an area of interest. And that's it. It's not really covered in detail or as much detail as the original. The fifth step to riches is imagination. In Hill's book, it's chapter 6. He explains how desire is only a thought and an impulse. An impulse of desire into a tangible reality of money calls for the use of a plan or plans that the moment you have put into a written statement your desire and a plan for its realization, you have taken the first step in a series of steps that will enable you to convert the thought into its physical counterpart. Ideals are the beginning points of all fortunes. Ideals are a product of the imagination. In Kimbro's book, it is chapter 2, Imagination, Ideals in Action. He speaks on life as being a collectivized thought, that it only takes one ideal followed up by action to create a fortune. Knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating processes giving birth to evolution. He gives to us an example that the average person stumbles upon at least 4 ideals, of which, if any were to be acted upon, it would render vast wealth. The sixth step to riches is organized planning. In Hill's book, it is chapter 7, and it covers the crystallization of desire into action, mastermind group organization, planning the sale of service, the attributes of leadership, pleasing a personality, the major causes of failure in leadership, new leadership, how to apply for a position, getting the exact position you desire, a new way of marketing service, quality, quantity, and spirit, the 30 major causes of failure, a 28 self-analysis questionnaire, where and how to find opportunities to accumulate riches. In Kimbro's book, there is not a chapter that discusses a pleasing organized planning. It's the 8th chapter in Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Dennis Kimbro and Napoleon Hill. In this chapter, he breaks down how to and what having a pleasing personality does. He shows us how to have common courtesy and to support others, and to aim at achieving harmonious relationships by developing the skill that caters to the feeling, pride, and emotions of those around you. How we need to develop the ability to skillfully handle people. He explains the mind of peoples are set into motion entirely by the way they feel towards others, not logic or reason. He also writes that personality is the sum total of an individual's mental, spiritual, and physical traits and habits. He gives us an example that like attracts like, that we should smile, give praise, approval, and gratitude and appreciation. Also, we should stop, listen, and think. The seventh step to riches is decision, and it is the eighth chapter in Think and Grow Rich, titled The Mastery of Procrastination. Hill explains how lack of decision is near the top of the list for the 30 major causes of failure. He shows us how you have to reach a decision promptly, to use your brain and mind to reach your own decisions, that deeds and not words are what counts the most. He shows you how you can have freedom or death on a decision, and that the value of decisions depend upon the courage it takes to make them. This is not covered in Kimbro's book. In Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Dennis Kimbro and Napoleon Hill, the ninth chapter is on enthusiasm. Kimbro gives us quotes like, "If it's hard, then do it hard" by Les Brown, and "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm" by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Kimbro explains to us that enthusiasm is power, which can be projected energy that can be caught by anyone. He shows us how we can enthusiastically sell our ideals, our hopes, our desires to others. He then goes on to explain that the companionship of success and every achievement is enthusiasm. He tells us that it's emotional management, having a positive attitude, being loved, sincere, having courage. It's a deep emotion that originates from within. Persistence is the eighth step in riches, and it's covered in both books. In Hill's book, it is chapter 9, where he gives the method of mixing willpower with persistence and using it as the base for their desires to ensure the attainment of their objects. He then covers what lack of persistence, that it is a major cause of failure, telling us that there are steps in chapter 4, 10, and 12 to develop persistence. He then lists 8 definite ways to cultivate persistence by having a definite of purpose, plans, desires, self-reliance, accurate knowledge, cooperation, willpower, and habit. In Kimbro books, it's covered in the 5th chapter. By all means, persist. He tells us that above all, it means never stopping, never giving up, and never giving in. The wise and the ambition always seek to learn something of value from each mistake. To increase the number of risks you are willing to take, he gives the 10 most prevalent causes of failure: lack of a definite purpose, goal, or chief aim; lack of ambition to move past mediocrity; negative mental attitude; lack of self-discipline; vision, image, the use of race, sex, or circumstance of inactivity; lack of belief, ill health, lack of persistence, and the desire to get something for nothing. The ninth step to riches is the power of the mastermind, the driving force. It's covered in Hill's chapter 10. Hill first off explains to us that great power can be accumulated through no other principle. He explains when a group of individuals is coordinated and functions in harmony, the increased energy creates the alliance and it becomes available to every individual in the group. People take in the nature and habits and power of thoughts of those with whom they associate with in a spirit of sympathy and harmonious. He explains the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmonious between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. He shows us how to gain power through the mastermind group, that power is required for the accumulation of money. And when two minds come together, thereby creating a third, invisible, tangible force, which may be likened to that of a third mind, that this power of the mastermind is not covered in Kimbro's book. Kimbro's chapter 10 is entitled A Message on Money, or Money Talks, and you'll do well to listen. The quotes he gives are, "It is the first duty of every man not to be poor," by George Bernard Shaw. And then a quote by Sophie Tucker, "I've been rich and I've been poor. Rich is much better." He then explains that true happiness consists not in the possession of things, but in the privilege of self-expression through the use of material things, telling us that peace of mind is wealth and that we would do well to check our attitude towards money. The 10th step to riches is the mystery of sex transmutated. It is covered in Hill's 11th chapter, showing us that the emotion of sex has three constructive potentialities. How sex desire is the most powerful human desire, that when it's harnessed and redirected along other lines, the positive attributes of this motivating force may be used as a creative force. He also goes on to give us 10 ways to stimulate our minds to bring it to a higher level of thought through which any form of mind stimulation is done. The 11th step to riches is covered in the 12th chapter, the subconscious mind, the connecting link. Hill tells us to plant into our subconscious mind any plan, thought, or purpose which you desire. Explaining we should go back to the 2nd chapter on desire and the 7th chapter on planning so we can understand the importance of thoughts. To make our desires clear, to put them in writing, that if we fail to plant desires in our subconscious mind, it will feed upon the thoughts that reach it as a result of our neglect. Stating, you have to engage in shutting off the flow of negative thoughts and impulses. He'll then list 7 major positive emotions and the 7 negative emotions. This step is not covered in Kimbro's book, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. Kimbro's chapter 11 is on 3 magic words. Tapping into your inner power by using the right mental attitude. Your attitude sets the stage. A right mental attitude is the habit of acting with a definite purpose, with full belief in the soundness of that purpose and the ability to achieve it. The attitude that you have towards yourself will determine your attitude towards your world. You must look, act, and feel successful for success you seek will come. Change your attitude and you change your life. The 13th chapter is the 12th step to riches. The title is The Brain, a broadcasting and receiving station for thoughts. Hill covers that the human brain is both the broadcasting and receiving station for the vibration of thought. That the brain can pick up vibrations of thoughts released by other brains. And that you have 3 principles to apply when you wish to use your broadcasting station. The first is the subconscious mind, the second is creative imagination, and the third is auto-suggestion. In Kimbro's final chapter, it is outer space, the great discovery. He opens up by quoting Napoleon Hill. You can be anything you want to be if only you believe with significant conviction and action by your faith. For whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Then he quotes himself by saying, the world stands back and take notice of the exceptional man or woman, regardless of color, who can step out from the crowd and do things in an original way, who can have new ideals. And he also tells us that a master key to riches is self-discipline, organized and persistence applied. The 13th step to riches is the 6th sense. The door to the temple of wisdom is covered in the 14th chapter. Well, Hill explains that this is the apex of philosophy. You must assimilate, understand, and apply the other principles. You must use your creative imagination and understanding of these in order to meditate on the 6th sense through the mind development from within. In a section in this chapter, building character through auto-suggestion, he explains that all people have become what they are because of their self-suggesting, dominating thoughts and desires. In chapter 15, How to Outwit the 6 Ghosts of Fear, Clearing the Brain for Riches, there are 3 enemies you shall have to clear out. These are indecision, doubt, fear. Indecision crystallizes into doubt, and the 2 blends together to become fear. He explains that the 6th sense will never function when these 3 negatives remain in your mind. He also goes over the 6 basic fears: the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love of someone, the fear of old age, the fear of death. Hill's final chapter is the Devil's Workshop, where he states that the 7th basic evil is susceptibility to negative influences. He goes on to And this is what stood out to me in both of these books. I hope you enjoyed my insight on them and make sure you like and subscribe. Tune into my next videos. And this is Canderson, okay? And bye for now.